Okay, today we're going to start drawing our barbecue spatula inside Fusion 360 in the sheet metal part of the bit of software. So this is the one that I've drawn up before. So we're going to start today by drawing the blade of this particular BBQ Mate that I've got here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to jump over, we're going to create a new file. So we're going to click up on the piece of paper up here, file, got new design. And then we'll get a nice blank worksheet like this, ready for us to start drawing. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to save. So we're going to hit up on the save icon here, click the down button to make sure we can see what project we're in. I've already got a barbecue spatula project here. If I didn't have that, I would go and click on new project to make it. And I'm going to call this one barbecue shoot and hit save. What this means is that the file will be continually saved as we're working on it, so there's no chance of losing our data because it's all synced up back to the Fusion 360 cloud server. Okay, so to work in sheet metal to make the blade, we actually need to change the mode that we're using. So I'm going to close this side panel to get a bit more space. So where it says model here, I'm going to click on that and then we're going to go down to sheet metal. Now the first thing we need to do is to specify what material that we're using. So if we go up to where the modify icon is, click down here, and we can jump onto what we call sheet metal rules. We'll bring it up. And the sheet metal rules is where we specify the material so that it can calculate the bend radiuses appropriately. So if we go to stainless steel and then click on the little pencil icon, we can change the thickness of it. And I've already got mine set, but if you haven't got it set, you will be changing it to 1.25, which is the thickness of the material that we're using. Hit save and then hit close. So that's the material that we're going to be making this out of. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sketch a rectangle. So we're going to create a sketch. I'm going to go onto the top plane, which is this diamond here. You can see because it matches up with the shape of the top plane on the cube here. So I'm going to click on that one. I know I'm on the top because my cube has changed to the top here. I'm going to get my search bar up, so I'm going to hit S for search, and I'm going to type in rectangle, and I want to center rectangle here. I'm going to select my 0, 0 origin, push out, and I'm going to enter some dimensions. So this one's going to be 150. I'm going to hit tab to change the other dimension, and I'm going to go 85 millimeters. Hit enter. Okay, for some reason it has jumped back. My mouse might have grabbed something, and it's made it 33 millimeters. That's not really a massive problem because I can just change that. If I just go and double click on this 33 millimeters here, I can change that to 85. So you can always change those dimensions, and you can actually go back and change those dimensions after the fact, and I'll show you that a bit later on. So now what I want to do is I want to turn that square into a piece of stainless steel sheet metal. So to do that, up on create here, I want to use the flange tool, which is this icon here. And you can see that when I roll my mouse over to it, it brings me up a bit of a description of that tool. So I'm going to click the flange. I'm going to select that rectangle. I'm going to make sure when I go to sheet metal rule, I select stainless steel, and you're going to see that's going to change the thickness. And I'm going to hit OK. And that's the first part of my barbecue spatula. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to create, so I'm going to go on the right hand, I'm going to view it about this angle here. And I want to bend up this part that actually makes the handle sit off at a slightly different height to the blade. So I'm going to hit flange again. I'm going to select this top edge, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this arrow and I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to go about 45 millimeters, I reckon. And then what I can also do is by using this circle up here, I can grab onto this point and I can change the angle. And to get a better idea of what that looks like, I'm going to click right up here on the cube, and that's going to give me a pretty good idea of, I might go to 50 mil. And I reckon 55 degrees looks pretty good. Shift middle mouse button to move around. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I reckon that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter. And now that's created that first bend in my sheet metal, just like I'd make it inside the workshop. Now what I need to do is I need to actually taper this one in to get the handle width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sketch on this face here. So I'm going to go on the new sketch tool up here, and I'm going to click on this face, like so. Now what I need to do is I need to make this go from 85 mil to 38 millimeters. So to do that, I'm going to have to put in some construction lines. So I'm going to hit, first of all, I'm going to put a center line in. So I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to snap to those triangles, which is also the green line. And then I'm going to turn that into a construction line. So I'm going to hit escape to exit the tool. I'm going to click back on that line, and I'm going to hit X to turn it into a construction. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit L for line. I'm going to snap it down to that bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to draw it roughly where I reckon I want it, about here. Now, I know that the distance between the end of this point here and the center line needs to be half of 38. So what I can do is I can hit D for dimension, and I'm going to hit that middle point, and I'm going to hit the end of that line there, push up, and I'm going to actually write in here the maths equation. So I'm going to write 38 over 2, which is going to give me my 19 mil. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I should be able to mirror that across. Actually, no, I'll just use another dimension line, that's fine. I'm going to go L for line. So I'm going to hit escape to exit the tool, go L for line. Sorry, escape to exit the tool. Push this one up to anywhere really. Hit escape again, D for dimension. Middle, up, click, and 19. So I've got those lines drawn in. Now I need to actually remove the material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to select those two shapes. And I'm just going to, where this arrow is here, I'm just going to push them away, like so. And that's actually cut out that, so that I've gone from my 85 down to my 38 mil. The next thing we need to do is to put that tongue in, and that tongue is actually the part that joins the blade to the handle. So once again, I'm going to go up and use my flange tool up here. I'm going to click on that top piece there. I'm going to push it out, so I reckon my flange is probably going to be about 50 mil. But as you can see, that's going off in the complete wrong direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this angle, and I'm going to roll him back over to this way. Now, it doesn't want to let me do that, and I suspect that's because what I've done is I've actually selected the wrong part of the flange. So I'm going to hit escape to exit out of that, and I'm going to try again on the different edge. So this time I'll go flange, and I'm going to select this bottom edge because that's where I want to actually bend it. Pull it out, I don't know, 45, 50 mils probably fine, and then I'm going to grab and change that angle. Once again, I'm going to go on the right hand side view so I can get a side view of it. And then I'm going to use my middle mouse button to move that round. And I'm going to try and play with that angle. So I reckon I'm going to go 40 degrees and 50 millimeters out. And I'm going to hit enter. And now we're starting to get something that looks like a rough version of our blade. Now obviously once you've got to this stage, if you wanted to put a design on the blade, or you wanted to put a bottle opener inside where the kick in the blade is, you can do that. It just comes down to creating sketches and cutting out and changing the particular blade. If you wanted to add a fillet, so to put an edge on it, like a few of you will be doing, you can hit the F tool for fillet. And let's say we wanted to do it on all three edges. We'll click on all these top edges that we want to fillet. We want a fillet rounds it off, which is probably not what we want. We actually want a chamfer. So I'm going to hit escape to get out of that one. And I'm going to go to modify up here, and I'm going to go chamfer. So I'm going to go chamfer, top edge, top edge, top edge. And if I jump over to my chamfer window here, chamfer type, I'm going to go two distances. So on distance 1, yeah, I'm going to make that maybe 10 millimeters. And distance 2, I'll make 1 millimeter. So maybe I'll go 8mm on that. 7. I'm just trying to do this by eye to kind of get it to look right. I think 7mm looks pretty good. And I can hit OK. And now that's actually put a fine edge on it. Like so. And that's pretty much how you get your blade drawn. Now the beautiful thing about doing this in Fusion 360 is that if you then wanted to actually go and make this in the workshop, you can click up on Modify here, and you can hit Create a Flat Pattern. And your stationary surface, so that's the flat part, so what you want to remain flat would be the blade, because that's what's going to sit on ground level. You can hit that guy there. You can hit OK. And what this will do is this will actually generate the net for you, just like when you unfold a shape in a maths class. And what that does is that creates this flat pattern here. And what that would allow you to do is you could print this out on a printer and stick it to your piece of stainless steel, and you could do your cutting and drilling your holes from this here. Okay, in the next video I will try and show you how to make the handle, which is the next part to actually making this tutorial. If you want to go back and see exit the flat mode, you simply click exit flat, and that will bring you back to your 3D model. Thank you.